The failed doctor's promotion. He couldn't handle medical school, my brother Marcus announced to the ballroom, his voice amplified by the microphone. 500 guests in formal wear turned to look at me standing near the service entrance. Some people just aren't cut out for medicine. My parents stood beside him on the stage applauding. The St. Catherine's Medical Center annual fundraising gala. Black tie. Crystal chandeliers. Surgeons congratulating themselves while I served as a living cautionary tale. Marcus gestured broadly, playing to the crowd. My sister tried. Really, she did. But when you don't have what it takes, sometimes the best thing you can do is step aside and let the real doctors work. Laughter rippled through the audience. Polite. Uncomfortable. But laughter nonetheless. I stood perfectly still in my black evening gown, holding champagne I hadn't touched. The marble floors reflected fractured light from overhead. The string quartet had stopped playing. Everyone was watching Marcus's performance. I'm proud to serve as department head of cardiothoracic surgery here at St. Catherine's, Marcus continued. It's an honor to work alongside true professionals. People who had the dedication to finish what they started. More applause. My mother wiped tears. My father beamed. Marcus caught my eye across the ballroom and smirked. What Marcus didn't know, I'd left the gala briefly 30 minutes ago to take a phone call from the hospital's board chairman. What Marcus didn't know, the organizational restructuring had been finalized that afternoon. What Marcus didn't know, his entire department was about to start reporting to someone he'd just humiliated. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask, have you ever been underestimated by someone who should have known better? Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. I'd love to know who's part of our community. Let me tell you what Marcus meant by, couldn't handle medical school. I'd completed 2 years at Johns Hopkins. Top 10% of my class. Published research on cardiac valve repair. 3 surgery rotations with excellent evaluations. Then our grandmother got sick. Aggressive pancreatic cancer. 6 months to live. She needed full-time care and my parents made their position clear. Someone had to leave school to help her. Marcus is doing his surgical residency, Mom said. He can't interrupt that. You're only in medical school. You can restart later. I was 24. Marcus was 27 and in his second year of residency at a different hospital. His program was prestigious but no more critical than my education. What about hiring a nurse? I asked. That's selfish, Dad said. She's your grandmother. Family takes care of family. So I withdrew from Johns Hopkins. Moved into Grandma's house. Spent 6 months caring for her while she died slowly, painfully, with dignity I tried to preserve through every indignity of terminal illness. Marcus visited twice. Stayed for dinner both times. Told Grandma about his cases, his achievements, his future. When she died, she left everything to both of us equally. Her house, her savings, roughly $340,000 each after taxes. Marcus used his inheritance as a down payment on a condo in the city. I used mine to pay off my medical school debt and restart my education. Except I didn't go back to medical school. I'd spent 6 months watching the healthcare system from a caregiver's perspective. Watched insurance denials. Watched prior authorization delays. Watched doctors order tests they knew insurers wouldn't cover, leaving families with impossible bills. I saw a different problem that needed solving. So I pivoted. Got my MBA in healthcare administration from Wharton. Specialized in hospital operations and surgical program management. Graduated top of my class. Published my thesis on reducing surgical complication rates through administrative oversight. Got recruited immediately by hospital systems looking for someone who understood both medicine and business. At age 29, I became the youngest director of surgical services at a major teaching hospital. At 31, I was recruited by St. Catherine's Medical Center to restructure their entire surgical division. My official title as of 4 p.m. today, Chief of Surgery. Every surgical department at St. Catherine's now reported to me, including cardiothoracic surgery, including Marcus. The board had approved my appointment unanimously. They'd asked me to keep it quiet until the formal announcement at tonight's gala. I'd agreed knowing Marcus would be here. Knowing he'd have his moment in the spotlight. I wanted him to enjoy it. One last time. He'd spent 20 minutes detailing his department's successes, his innovative techniques, his leadership. The fundraising total for cardiothoracic was impressive. $2.7 million in donations. Let's give Dr. Marcus Chin another round of applause, the MC said as Marcus returned to his seat at the head table. My parents hugged him. Other department heads shook his hand. Marcus glowed with satisfaction. Then Chairman Dr. Robert Castellano took the stage. Silver-haired. Impeccable suit. 40 years in hospital administration. The kind of authority that made rooms go silent. Thank you all for your generous support tonight, he began. St. Catherine's continues to lead in surgical innovation because of donors like you and talented physicians like Dr. Chen. Marcus nodded graciously. But exceptional surgical departments require exceptional leadership at every level, Dr. Castellano continued. Which is why the board of directors has made a significant decision regarding our surgical division structure. The room quieted. This wasn't on the program. For the past decade, St. Catherine's has operated with individual department heads managing their own programs. This structure served us well, but as we've grown, we've identified inefficiencies. Redundant administrative costs. Inconsistent quality metrics. Missed opportunities for interdepartmental collaboration. I saw Marcus lean forward, slightly interested now. After an exhaustive search and interview process, the board has appointed a new chief of surgery who will oversee all surgical departments, standardize our protocols, and position St. Catherine's as the premier surgical center in the region. Marcus glanced at the other department heads. Who had they chosen? Someone from outside the hospital? One of the senior surgeons? Our new chief of surgery brings a unique combination of medical knowledge and administrative expertise. She completed medical school training at Johns Hopkins before earning her MBA from Wharton, where she published groundbreaking research on surgical program optimization. I felt eyes starting to turn toward me. A few people in the crowd who knew my background were connecting dots. In her previous role, she reduced surgical complications by 34%, improved OR efficiency by 27%, and increased patient satisfaction scores to the 99th percentile nationally. She's been recruited by 6 hospital systems in the past year alone. Marcus's face had gone very still. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming St. Catherine's new chief of surgery, Dr. Jennifer Chen. The spotlight swung to where I stood. I walked toward the stage as applause built, uncertain at first, then genuine as people realized what they were witnessing. The failed medical student was now the boss of everyone who'd watched her humiliation 5 minutes ago. I took the microphone from Dr. Castellano, looked out at 500 faces, found Marcus in the crowd. His expression was frozen somewhere between shock and rage. Thank you, Chairman Castellano, I said. My voice was steady. I'm honored to serve St. Catherine's in this capacity. I paused, letting the moment breathe. Some of you know my story. I left medical school to care for my dying grandmother. It was called a failure by some. I called it a choice. One I'd make again without hesitation. My mother's face had gone pale. My father gripped his champagne glass so hard I thought it might shatter. That experience taught me something medical school couldn't. Healthcare isn't just about technical excellence. It's about systems that support both patients and physicians. It's about administrative structures that enable great doctors to do their best work. I clicked to the first slide of my presentation. Organizational charts. Effective immediately, St. Catherine's Surgical Division will implement a new structure. All department heads will report directly to the Chief of Surgery. We'll standardize protocols across departments, share resources more efficiently, and implement quality metrics that prioritize patient outcomes over individual physician egos. Marcus stood up. Dr. Chen, Jennifer, this seems premature. We haven't had any input on this restructuring. Dr. Marcus Chen, I said, acknowledging him formally. Department heads received the restructuring proposal 3 weeks ago via email. The comment period closed last Friday. Did you not review the documents? His jaw worked. He hadn't read them. Of course he hadn't. Administrative emails were beneath him. This proposal was developed over 6 months with input from nursing staff or schedulers, patient advocates, and junior physicians, I continued. The perspectives we didn't prioritize were those of department heads who've operated independently for years without adequate oversight. I clicked to the next slide. Quality metrics. Cardiothoracic surgery has excellent technical outcomes. Dr. Marcus Chin is a skilled surgeon. However, his department has the highest rate of or schedule overruns, the lowest nursing satisfaction scores, and the most patient complaints about postoperative communication in the entire surgical division. The numbers were on the screen. Undeniable. Marcus's face went red. Those metrics don't reflect. They reflect exactly what they're designed to reflect, I interrupted calmly. Surgical excellence requires more than technical skill. It requires leadership that respects every member of the care team. It requires systems that put patient needs before physician convenience. I advanced to the next slide. New protocols. Starting Monday, all surgical departments will implement standardized pre-op procedures, unified post-op protocols, and mandatory interdepartmental case reviews. Department heads will participate in leadership training focused on team dynamics and administrative efficiency. I looked directly at Marcus. This training is non-negotiable. Any department head who doesn't comply will be replaced. The ballroom was utterly silent. Dr. Castellano stepped forward. The board has full confidence in Dr. Chen's vision. These changes position St. Catherine's for our next phase of growth. We expect complete cooperation from all department heads. He looked meaningfully at Marcus. Complete cooperation. The gala ended 90 minutes later. I spent most of that time surrounded by board members, donors, and physicians who wanted to introduce themselves to the new chief of surgery. Many congratulated me. A few expressed concern about rapid changes. All of them treated me with the respect my title commanded. Marcus avoided me entirely. He left early with our parents, all three of them tight-lipped and furious. My assistant found me near the exit. Dr. Chin, you have 63 emails already. Most are supportive. 7 are less supportive. Let me guess. Department heads. 6 department heads and 1 very long message from your brother. I didn't open Marcus's email until I got home. It was 8 paragraphs of rage. How I'd humiliated him publicly. How I'd orchestrated this to get revenge for imagined slights. How I was unqualified to oversee surgical departments. How the board had made a mistake. The subject line, "You'll regret this." I forwarded it to HR and Dr. Castellano with a brief note. Received this communication from Dr. Marcus Chin regarding my appointment. Documenting for personnel file. Then I blocked his number and went to bed. Monday morning arrived with surgical precision. My first official meeting, 7 a.m., all department heads, mandatory attendance. Marcus arrived last, deliberately. Sat in the back. Arms crossed. Expression hostile. I didn't acknowledge him. "Good morning," I began. "Welcome to the new era of surgical services at St. Catherine's. I'm Dr. Jennifer Chin and I'm here to make your jobs easier, if you're willing to collaborate." I walked them through the changes methodically. New or scheduling system to reduce overruns. Standardized instrument trays to improve efficiency. Unified post-op protocols to reduce complications. Mandatory quality reviews to identify improvement opportunities. These changes will require adjustment, I said. Some of you have operated independently for years. That independence ends today. We're a team now. We share resources, we share successes, and we share accountability. One of the older surgeons raised his hand. "Dr. Chin, some of us have established systems that work well. Why fix what isn't broken?" Because works well for surgeons doesn't always mean works well for patients or staff, I replied. Our nursing turnover in surgical departments is 34% annually, twice the national average. Our patient satisfaction scores lag behind peer institutions. Our utilization rates waste millions in overhead. I clicked to data slides. These aren't broken systems. They're systems optimized for physician convenience rather than organizational excellence. That changes now. Marcus spoke up. "With all due respect, Dr. Chin, you're not a practicing surgeon. You don't understand the pressures we face in the OR." "You're right, Dr. Chin," I said, using his title deliberately. "I'm not a practicing surgeon. I'm a hospital administrator who understands systemic pressures you don't see because you're focused on individual cases." I advanced the slide. Last year your department generated $47 million in revenue. It also generated $12 million in overtime costs, $3 million in wasted resources, and immeasurable costs in staff burnout and turnover. The room went quiet. You're an excellent technical surgeon. But technical excellence alone doesn't make you a good leader. These inefficiencies exist because your department prioritizes surgical egos over operational reality. Marcus stood up. I don't have to sit here and be insulted. You're not being insulted, I said calmly. You're being managed. Which is new for you, I understand. But it's not optional. Dr. Castellano spoke from the doorway. I'd asked him to observe. Dr. Marcus Chin, you will sit down and participate professionally, or you will be placed on administrative leave. Your choice. Marcus looked between us. Realized he had no leverage. Sat down slowly. These changes start today, I continued. You'll receive detailed implementation plans by end of business. Questions will be addressed in individual meetings. This meeting is adjourned. The next 6 months were brutal. 3 department heads resigned rather than accept oversight. I replaced them with younger physicians who understood team-based care. Marcus fought every change. Missed deadlines for reports. Scheduled surgeries that violated new protocols. Treated or staffed dismissively. I documented everything. At his 90-day review, I laid out the evidence. You've violated departmental protocols 14 times. You've missed 8 mandatory deadlines. You've generated 6 formal complaints from nursing staff. This is targeted harassment, Marcus said. This is performance management, I corrected. You're being held to the same standards as every other department head. The difference is you're used to operating without accountability. I slid a document across the desk. Performance Improvement Plan. 90 days to demonstrate compliance with all protocols, submit reports on time and maintain professional conduct. Failure results in termination. Marcus stared at the document. You're really doing this. I'm doing my job. Whether you do yours is up to you. He signed the PIP. Walked out without another word. 2 years later, I'm still chief of surgery at St. Catherine's. Marcus completed his performance improvement plan. Barely. He follows protocols now, submits reports on time and maintains professional conduct. He's still an excellent surgeon, just not an autonomous one anymore. We don't speak outside work contexts. Family gatherings ended after our parents demanded I apologize for humiliating Marcus. I refused. They chose sides. I lost parents and gained peace. But I gained something else. The respect of every nurse, resident and staff member who'd been dismissed by physicians who thought administrative work was beneath them. St. Catherine's surgical departments now rank in the top 10% nationally for patient outcomes, staff satisfaction and operational efficiency. Our nursing turnover dropped to 12%. Our patient satisfaction scores hit the 99th percentile. Our utilization generates an additional $8 million annually in revenue. The board offered me the chief medical officer position last month. I accepted. Every clinical department at St. Catherine's now reports to me, including Marcus's. He found out via the hospital-wide email announcement. Sent me a 2-word message, "You won." I didn't respond. This was never about winning. It was about proving that the failed medical student understood healthcare better than the successful surgeon. That leaving school to care for dying family wasn't weakness. It was the kind of strength that builds better systems. Marcus called me a failed doctor at a fundraiser. The board announced their new chief of surgery. His department reports to me. His career exists at my discretion. His ego finally encountered a ceiling it couldn't break through. I didn't fail medical school. I chose a different kind of medicine, the kind that heals systems instead of just patients. Sometimes the person who couldn't handle medical school ends up running the hospital. Sometimes failure is just redirection toward where you were meant to be all along. Sometimes the failed doctor becomes the boss. The trash took itself out. I just held the door open.